All right. So today I just wanted to recap a couple of the Meshmixer functions that we did last time and also show you a couple new functions. So first thing is we're going to go ahead and import the bunny. And if you recall, under Edit, this is where you can find that transform function, which is really helpful, right? This is what we're using to move the object around. You can change the angle. You can change the scale by clicking and dragging this cube in the middle. And then, of course, you can distort the scale, the proportions, by clicking and dragging on the squares that are at the end of the arrows. So that's the transform tool. Another tip, a shortcut for that, is if you go ahead and hit T, this will bring up the transform function. So this is, because we use it so often, that's a good trick, just to hit the T whenever you need that gumball to pop up. Okay, so in the case of the bunny, when you import it, and some other objects you might import, if you're seeing some of this pink interior, then you know that this is not a solid object, it's only a surface. And when it comes to 3D printing something, we need to have it as a solid object. So I want to show you how to change that. So if we go to Edit, you can find Make Solid under here. And it will automatically close this up. And if you hit the W, then you can see the wireframe. This is actually, relatively detailed. It's got pretty small triangles. However, let's say you're not happy with it. Maybe your object lost too much detail. You have a lot of things you can adjust here. So for example, the way that it made it solid by default was fast. So if we go to accurate, then that's going to increase the resolution. So it's going to make it a little more detailed. The other stuff you can do is adjust things like solid accuracy or mesh density. Solid accuracy is cool. If you drag it up, you'll notice that the cell size is actually getting smaller, right? So as we do this, where these triangles are going to be smaller and therefore you're going to have more detail. So let's go ahead and update that and we'll see what we get. So you may have noticed that the triangles are a little bit smaller. We have a little bit more detail. And if you're happy with it, then you can just hit accept. Let's say this was my finished object and I wanted to prepare it for printing. From there, what I can do is I can go File and Export. And I'm just going to save this as a bunny test. And I want to see what the file size is. So this is 3.9 megabytes, which is not huge. That's fine. Just for the sake of testing this, let's do this. Let's go ahead and make solid again. And this time I want to do accurate, and I want to really bump up the resolution. So I'm going to make the cell size super small and mesh density as well. So you can see the cell size is quite small here as well. And I'm going to update that. You can see it's taking a little more time to process. Now you can see how much more dense the mesh is, right? So these are really tiny triangles. So I'll accept that. Let's save this STL again. So I'm going to export again. Name it Bunny Test 2. So now, let's see what we got. So we went from about 4 megabytes to about 24 megabytes. So just doing that increased resolution increased the file size about 6 times. So that's to give you an idea of how you can control the size of your file. So it's kind of a push and pull between the resolution and the file size. So why does that matter? Once you start importing a lot of objects, your software might really start lagging. And so I'm going to suggest that you don't bump up resolution too much. And if you do notice that as you're starting to add objects to your object browser, that everything is slowing down a lot, you might want to go ahead and make it solid and lower the resolution of that object. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to show you another function that's under Edit, and that is to mirror something. So if you click on Mirror, it pops up the same kind of gumball that we had for Transform, and you'll notice there's a big arrow which is kind of hugging this plane. And this arrow, if you flip it, it's going to flip which side of the object you're going to mirror. So in this case, just for the demo, I'm going to try and keep the head of this bunny, and I'm going to copy it. Maybe I'll change the angle a little bit. Let's see what we get. It might be kind of fun, kind of crazy. Let's see. And sure enough, my computer is already lagging just from that one. I'm actually going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to cancel out of this, and you can see I've got my different objects here. I'm going to delete the most recent one I did, and I'm going to go back to the one which was a little bit lower resolution. And it should work a little bit better. So again, Edit. I've got to select the objects so I can turn on the eye. Edit, mirror. I'm going to flip the direction. And just find an angle that might be kind of fun. So if I'm happy with the plane, I'll hit accept. Voila, now I've got my weird Frankenstein bunny. And it's saved it as one solid object, right? It's not two halves, it's one new object here. Alright. I think that's good for now. I'm going to start another video in a second, which will have a couple other functions for you. Thanks.